Thanksgiving has always been my mom's Super Bowl. She starts planning in October, drawing up menus like she's coaching a team, color-coding grocery lists, arguing with my dad about oven space like it's a life or death negotiation. Our house in suburban Ohio smells like butter and sage for days before anyone even shows up. Every year, same dining room, same long oak table, same fake fall leaves taped around the chandelier because she refuses to buy new decorations until the old ones fall apart completely. This year was supposed to be like that. Normal. Predictable. It wasn't. I'm 32, divorced, no kids, and the kind of person who orders gadgets off Instagram at 2 a.m. just to see if they're real. That's how the DNA kits ended up on the Thanksgiving table. I bought 4 of them during a sale. Find out where you really come from, and thought it would be funny if we all spit into tubes between turkey and pie. My sister Kayla thought it was hilarious. She's 29, loud, always filming something for social media. My dad rolled his eyes but went along with it. My mom hesitated for half a second too long. I didn't notice it then. Looking back, that half second feels like a crack in concrete before the whole driveway splits open. Dinner was loud like always. My dad carving the turkey too aggressively, Kayla arguing about politics with her fiancé, me refilling wine glasses because it keeps everything smooth. My mom floated around the kitchen in her red sweater, smiling too wide, asking if the stuffing was dry even though it never is. After we cleared the plates, I pulled out the boxes like I was revealing party favors. Okay, I said, new family tradition. We find out if we're secretly Viking royalty. Kayla laughed. If I'm not at least 10% Italian, I'm suing. My dad grumbled but cracked open the kit anyway. My mom held hers like it was fragile. You don't have to, I told her. It's just for fun. She looked at me in a way I couldn't read. Something flickered there. Fear? Annoyance? No, she said quickly. Of course I'll do it. We all spit into the tubes, sealed them up, and I drove them to the drop box the next morning on my way back to Columbus. I forgot about it for weeks. Life went back to normal. Work, gym, occasional awkward dates that went nowhere. Then, right before Christmas, I got the email. Your DNA results are ready. I was in my apartment, sitting on the couch with a beer, half watching a basketball game. I clicked the link without thinking. The ethnicity breakdown came first. Mostly Irish and German, like we'd always been told. Nothing shocking there. I scrolled down, curious about the DNA matches section. That's when my stomach tightened. There was a name at the top of the list. Close family, estimated relationship, parent/child. I blinked. Under it, Daniel M., age 30. 30. I'm 32. I stared at the screen like it might rearrange itself if I gave it enough time. Parent/child. It had to be a glitch. I clicked on his profile. Limited information. Lives in Arizona. Shared DNA, 49.8%. That's not a cousin. That's not a mistake. That's immediate family. I laughed at first, actually laughed out loud. What the hell? I muttered. Then I checked Kayla's profile. We'd all agreed to share results. She showed up as my full sibling. Shared DNA, 50%. Normal. I went back to Daniel's profile. He didn't show up on Kayla's matches. My heart started beating harder. Not panic yet, just confusion. I pulled up my dad's account. He'd called me earlier complaining about how complicated the website was, so I had his login saved. His results loaded. Ethnicity similar to mine. Then I clicked his DNA matches. Kayla, parent/child, correct. Me, nothing. I refreshed the page. Still nothing. My name wasn't there. I felt cold. Not dramatic, not movie scene cold. Just a slow, creeping chill like someone had opened a window in December. I logged out, logged back in, checked again. On my profile, Daniel M. was listed as parent/child. On my dad's profile, I wasn't listed at all. I stared at the shared DNA percentage between me and my dad. 0%. 0. That number looked fake, impossible. My dad and I have the same crooked nose, the same thick eyebrows. People have pointed it out my entire life. I sat there for a long time, not moving, just listening to the hum of my refrigerator and the faint commentary from the TV. My brain kept trying to find another explanation. Lab mix-up, switch samples, technical error. But Daniel M. shared almost 50% of my DNA. That wasn't random. That was biological father territory. My phone buzzed. It was Kayla. Did you check yours yet? She texted. My throat tightened. Yeah, did you? Yeah, I'm boring. 100% your sister. Dad's my dad. Shocked. I typed, erased, typed again. Mine's weird. What do you mean weird? I stared at the screen. I could lie, say it was glitching. Wait, think. Instead I wrote, Dad's not showing up as my parent. There was a long pause. Then, stop. I'm not joking. My phone rang immediately. I answered without speaking. What do you mean he's not showing up? Kayla demanded. He's not on my match list at all. Silence. That's impossible, she said. I know. Another pause. I could hear her breathing. Is Mom on yours? I didn't check. I hadn't even thought to. I clicked over to the maternal side while she was still on the phone. Mom showed up exactly as expected. Shared DNA, 50%. She was my mother. There was no mistake there. It says Mom is, I said quietly. Kayla didn't speak for a few seconds, then very softly. So, Dad's not your dad. Hearing her say it out loud made something shift inside me, like a shelf collapsing. I don't know, I said, but it sounded weak even to me. Who's Daniel? She asked. I have no idea. Does Mom know? That question hit differently. Of course she would know. Unless she didn't. Unless there was some insane hospital switch story waiting to happen. But Daniel was 30, 2 years younger than me. That wasn't a hospital mistake. That was a secret. I'm gonna call her, Kayla said suddenly. No. The word came out sharper than I meant it to. Don't. Why not? Because if this is some glitch, I don't want to blow up Christmas over it. You think this is a glitch? I didn't answer. We hung up without resolving anything. I sat there for another hour, scrolling through Daniel's limited profile. No photos, just a first name, last initial, and a city in Arizona. I clicked the message button. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. What do you even write? Hi, I think you might be my biological father. Felt insane. I closed the laptop instead. I barely slept that night. Every memory of my childhood started replaying in my head like evidence in a trial. My dad teaching me how to ride a bike. My dad yelling at me for denting his truck. My dad crying quietly at my college graduation when he thought no one was looking. Was all of that, what, a lie? The next morning, my mom called me. Casual, cheerful. Did you see your results? She asked. There was something tight under her voice. I could hear it now. Yeah, I said carefully. And it's interesting. A pause. What do you mean interesting? She asked. I swallowed. Dad's not showing up as my parent. Silence. Not confusion. Not laughter. Silence. Then she said, too quickly, that can't be right. I checked 3 times.
Well, those things aren't always accurate. They're pretty accurate, Mom. Another silence, heavier this time. I felt my chest tightening. Is there something you want to tell me? I hadn't planned to say it like that. It just came out. She exhaled slowly, like someone setting down a heavy bag. I think we should talk about this in person, she said. And that was the moment I knew. Because if there was nothing to talk about, she would have laughed. She would have called it stupid. She would have told me I inherited my dramatic streak from her side of the family. Instead, she wanted to talk in person. 30 years. 30 years of birthdays and Christmas mornings and family photos. And now there was a man in Arizona with half my DNA. I drove home that weekend with my stomach in knots, the winter sky flat and gray over the highway. Every mile felt like I was getting closer to something that couldn't be undone. I kept seeing my mom's face at Thanksgiving, that half-second pause before she agreed to take the test. She knew. Somewhere deep down, she had always known this day might come. I just never imagined I'd be the one to uncover it over pumpkin pie. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, my dad's truck was there. The house looked exactly the same as it always had. But I sat in my car for a long time before going inside, staring at the front door like it belonged to strangers. Because if my dad wasn't my biological father, then who was? And why had my mom buried it for 3 decades? I finally opened Daniel's profile again on my phone and hit message. I typed 3 words. Hi, we match. Then I walked toward the house. Daniel replied before I even made it to my old bedroom. My phone buzzed in my hand as I stepped through the front door. The smell of lemon cleaner and whatever candle my mom was burning hit me immediately. It was so normal, it felt insulting. I glanced down. Yeah, I saw. I was wondering when you'd reach out. My chest tightened. Not confused, not surprised, like he'd been waiting. My dad was in the living room watching a football recap, volume too loud. He looked up at me and smiled, that same familiar half smile I'd seen my entire life. Hey, kid. Kid. The word landed differently now. Hey, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. My mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She looked pale, not sick, just drained. We can talk upstairs, she said quickly. My dad frowned. Talk about what? I could feel the air shift, that subtle vibration before a storm. Just the DNA thing, I said casually, forcing a shrug. It's probably nothing. He grunted. Told you those things are a scam. I followed my mom upstairs to her bedroom. She closed the door behind us, which she never does. My parents have always been open-door people, transparent, or at least that's what I thought. She sat on the edge of the bed, hands clasped tightly in her lap. I stayed standing. Mom? I said quietly. Who is Daniel? Her eyes filled before she even spoke. That was my answer. It was a long time ago, she whispered. The phrase felt rehearsed, like she'd said it to herself in the mirror. How long? She swallowed. Before I married your father. That didn't make sense. I'm 32, I said slowly. You and Dad have been married 33 years. Her silence stretched. Then she looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in her face. Guilt. I was seeing someone else, she said. Right before the wedding. The room felt smaller. You cheated on Dad before you married him? I asked. It wasn't like that, she said quickly. Your father and I were going through a rough patch. We'd postponed the wedding once already. I didn't even know if we were going to make it. So you slept with someone else. Her jaw tightened. Yes. And then what? And then I found out I was pregnant. The words hung in the air between us like smoke. I felt dizzy. You didn't know whose I was. She closed her eyes. I hoped, she said. I prayed it was your father's. That word, hoped, hit harder than anything else. You never told him? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. She shook her head slowly. I made a choice, she whispered. I chose my marriage. I chose stability. I chose the life I believed was best for you. For me? I laughed, but it came out sharp and ugly. You chose to lie to him for 32 years. Tears rolled down her face, but I couldn't feel sympathy. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Does he know? No. The finality in her voice made my stomach twist. Does Daniel know about me? Another pause. Yes. That snapped something in me. He knows? He knows he has a son and he just, disappeared? He didn't disappear, she said quietly. I told him I was pregnant. I told him it might be his. He wanted me to leave your father. He wanted us to be together. And I didn't. I felt like I was standing outside my own body, watching this conversation happen to someone else. You chose Dad, I said. Yes. And you never told him there was a chance I wasn't his. She nodded, barely. Daniel agreed to stay out of it? I asked. He wasn't happy, she said. But he respected my decision. Respected. That word felt like a joke. So he's just been, living his life? Knowing I existed? Yes. My phone buzzed again in my hand. Another message from Daniel. I figured your mom might not have told you. I'm guessing that conversation's happening right now. I felt heat flood my face. He just texted me, I said. My mom's head snapped up. You messaged him? Yeah. Why wouldn't I? Her breathing quickened. Please don't make this worse. Worse. I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who packed my lunches, who sat through every high school basketball game, who cried when I got divorced like my pain was hers. And suddenly I didn't know who she was. What was he like? I asked quietly. She hesitated. Passionate, she said finally. Impulsive. Different from your father. Different how? I didn't even want to ask, but I did anyway. Did you love him? Her silence was the answer. For a second, I pictured my dad downstairs. The man who worked double shifts when the factory cut hours. The man who co-signed my first car loan. The man who still called me every Sunday just to check in. And my mom had loved someone else. Maybe still did. You let him raise another man's kid, I said, my voice low now. You let him believe I was his. I believed you were, she insisted. Until this test, I never knew for sure. That's not true, I said. You knew there was a chance. She covered her face with her hands. I was 24, she said through her fingers. I was scared. I didn't want to lose everything. So you built everything on a lie. The words came out colder than I expected. Controlled. Calm. That scared me more than if I'd been screaming. My phone buzzed again. I've thought about you every year on your birthday, Daniel wrote. Your mom sent one picture when you were 5. That's all I ever got. I stared at that message. One picture? I asked my mom. She looked up slowly. He asked, so you stayed in contact? Not really, just once. How did he know my birthday? I told him. My head was pounding now. Does Dad suspect anything? No, she said firmly. Never. There was a knock on the bedroom door.
Everything okay in there? My dad called. My mom and I locked eyes. This was the moment, the line in the sand. I could walk downstairs and pretend none of this existed, protect him, protect her, keep the family intact. Or I could blow it up. My mom's eyes pleaded with me, not dramatically, just desperate. Please, she whispered, Let me figure out how to tell him. How long were you planning to wait? I asked. Another 30 years? She didn't answer. I opened the door. My dad was standing there, beer in hand, looking confused. What's going on? He asked. I looked at him, and for a split second I saw everything we'd shared. Fishing trips, late-night talks about girls, the time he hugged me so tight when I told him my marriage was falling apart. I felt something break inside my chest. Dad, I said slowly, we need to talk. Behind me, my mom whispered my name like a warning, but it was too late. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And I wasn't sure I could carry this alone. My phone buzzed one more time in my hand. If you ever want to meet, Daniel wrote, I'm here. I didn't know which man was my father in that moment, the one downstairs who raised me, or the one in Arizona who shared my blood. And I was about to force the truth into the open. My dad looked at both of us standing there in the hallway, my mom pale behind me, and something in his expression shifted. He's not a stupid man. He might not be emotional, but he reads a room like a mechanic reads an engine noise. What is it? He asked again, slower this time. I felt my throat tighten. This was the point of no return. It's about the DMA test, I said. He let out a small laugh. Jesus, we're still on that? I told you those things are junk. They're not junk, I said quietly. My mom stepped forward. Maybe we should sit down. We ended up at the kitchen table, the same table where I did homework, the same table where we ate every Thanksgiving meal. The overhead light felt too bright. I pulled my phone out and placed it on the table like evidence. Dad, I said carefully, when I looked at my results, you didn't show up as my biological parent. He stared at me like I'd just spoken another language. What are you talking about? It says we share 0% DNA. He barked out a laugh. That's impossible. I checked 3 times. He looked at my mom. Tell him he's being ridiculous. She didn't. Her silence was louder than anything I could have said. My dad's eyes moved back to me, then to her, then back to me. What the hell is this? He asked, but now there was no humor in his voice. There's someone else listed as a close match, I said. My hands were shaking now, but I kept going. A man named Daniel. We share almost 50% DNA. The room went very still. My dad turned slowly to my mom. Do you know who that is? She couldn't meet his eyes. And that's when I saw it happen. The exact moment realization hit him. His shoulders stiffened. His jaw clenched. Answer me, he said. It was before we were married. She whispered. He leaned back in his chair like he'd been physically shoved. Before? He repeated. Yes. How before? She swallowed. Right before. He stared at her for a long time. I'd never seen him look at her like that. Not angry. Not yelling. Just dismantled. And you think this guy is his father? He asked, nodding toward me. I didn't know, she said quickly. I didn't know for sure. But you knew there was a chance. Her silence again. He stood up so suddenly his chair scraped hard against the tile. How long? I said before she could. He looked at me like I'd slapped him. You knew? He asked. I just found out. He ran a hand over his face. No. How long have you known there was a chance he wasn't mine? He demanded, looking at my mom. She was crying openly now. Since I found out I was pregnant, she said. The sound he made wasn't a shout. It was lower, rougher, like something tearing. So you married me knowing he might not be my son? I believed he was yours, she insisted. But you didn't know. No. He started pacing the kitchen. I'd never seen him pace before. He's always been controlled, measured. You let me sign that birth certificate, he said. You let me raise him. Yes. Every doctor's appointment. Every school event. Every damn thing. I thought it was the right choice, she said weakly. For who? He snapped. For all of us. He stopped pacing and looked at me. The look in his eyes destroyed me more than any yelling could have. Is it true? he asked. I don't know how it wouldn't be, I said. The DNA doesn't lie. He nodded slowly like he was processing a death. Have you talked to him? He asked. I hesitated. Yeah. My mom inhaled sharply. You already reached out? My dad asked. He replied first. I said. He said he was waiting. That hit him hard. He knew? My dad said, looking at my mom again. You told him? I told him it might be his, she admitted. And he just let me raise his kid. He wanted me to leave you, she said. I chose you. That sentence hung there like it was supposed to mean something. My dad laughed once, bitter and short. You chose me. That's your defense. Silence. I felt like I was suffocating, watching my family fracture in real time. Dad, I said, standing up. You're still my father. He looked at me. Am I? He asked. The question gutted me. You raised me, I said. You're the only dad I've ever known. He nodded, but it wasn't relief. It was resignation. I need air, he said finally. He grabbed his keys and walked out without looking back. The front door slammed. The house felt hollow. My mom sat there, crying quietly into her hands. You should have let me handle it, she whispered. I couldn't, I said. My voice was shaking now. He deserved to know. And what about what this does to him? What about what it does to me? I shot back. She looked up at me like she was seeing me for the first time. I never wanted you to find out this way, she said. How did you want me to find out? At your funeral? She flinched. I stepped away from the table because I felt like if I stayed there any longer, I'd say something I couldn't take back. My phone buzzed again. Daniel. I'm guessing it didn't go smoothly. I stared at the message. You knew this would happen. I typed back. I knew it was possible. He replied almost immediately. I've been waiting 30 years for the truth to surface. Waiting. That word made my blood boil. Why didn't you fight for me? I typed. There was a longer pause this time before he answered. I did. She chose her husband. I looked over at my mom sitting at the table, shoulders shaking. She said you respected her decision. He replied. I respected that she made one. Doesn't mean I agreed with it. I didn't know what to feel. Anger at him. Anger at her. Anger at the universe for turning a stupid Thanksgiving joke into this. Do you want to meet? He asked again. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to drive to Arizona tomorrow. Look him in the face. Compare our features. See if we move the same way. Laughed the same way. Another part of me felt like doing that would be betraying the man who just walked out of this house shattered. My dad texted me then. Don't come after me. I just need time. That message hurt more than anything else. He didn't call me son.
He didn't say love you, just time. I walked outside onto the porch and sat down on the cold steps. The sky was gray, matching how everything felt inside my chest. I thought about every argument my parents ever had, every weird tension I never understood, every time my mom got quiet when someone joked about how much I looked like my dad. Had she been holding the secret the entire time? Had my dad ever suspected? And now there was this other man, in Arizona, flesh and blood, waiting. I typed one final message to Daniel. I need to think. He replied, take your time, I'm not going anywhere. That sentence felt heavy, because for 30 years, he had gone somewhere. He'd gone on with his life, built his own world without me in it, and now I was standing in the middle of the wreckage of mine. I didn't know if I wanted answers, or if I wanted to rewind to Thanksgiving and never buy those stupid DNA kits at all. But it was too late for that. Everything was out now, and nothing in this house would ever feel the same again. My dad didn't come home that night. He texted my mom around midnight, just 2 words, at Mike's. Mike has been his best friend since high school. They bowl together every Thursday, drink cheap beer in the garage, complain about their knees. The idea that he needed to sleep at Mike's instead of in his own house made everything feel more real than any DNA percentage ever could. I stayed. I don't even know why. Maybe I felt responsible.
Maybe I didn't trust my mom to be alone with what she detonated, or maybe I was scared to go back to my apartment and sit in silence with my thoughts. She barely spoke that night, just moved around a kitchen, wiping down counters that were already clean. At one point she said, "He'll calm down." It sounded like she was trying to convince herself. I went to my old bedroom and lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. Same faint glow-in-the-dark stars I stuck up there when I was 12. Same dent in the wall from where I threw a baseball inside after my dad told me not to. My dad. I didn't know what to call him in my own head anymore without feeling something twist inside me. Around 1:30 a.m., my phone lit up. "Daniel, I know this is terrible timing," he wrote, "but I need you to understand something." I almost didn't open it, but I did. "I didn't disappear because I didn't care. I stepped back because your mom said if I pushed, she'd cut me off completely. I was 25. I thought giving her space meant someday she'd come back." I stared at that message for a long time. I sent birthday cards the first 2 years. She mailed them back. That hit harder than I expected. "She told me you needed stability," he continued. "I figured barging in would only mess you up." I felt anger rise again, but it was different now. Less explosive, more complicated. "You could have tried harder," I typed. 3 dots appeared immediately. "I could have," he wrote, "but I didn't want to rip apart a family if there was even a chance you were his." That word again, chance. Everyone in the story had been gambling on percentages except me. I didn't reply. The next morning, my dad came home around 9. He looked older. That's the only way I can describe it. Like someone had added 10 years overnight. He didn't look at my mom. He looked at me. "Walk with me," he said. We went down the street, past the same houses I rode my bike past as a kid. The cold air stung my face. He shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. "I got the app," he said finally. "What?" "The DNA app, logged into my account." I swallowed. "It says 0%, he said flatly. "So that's that." Hearing him say it so clinically hurt. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it for everything. For the test, for the truth, for the pain. He stopped walking and turned to me. "Did you know before this?" he asked. "No." He studied my face like he was looking for lies. Then he nodded once. "I believe you." That meant more than I expected. "I don't care what that test says," I said. "You're my dad." He looked away, jaw tight. "I raised you," he said quietly. "I taught you how to drive. I sat in hospital waiting rooms when you broke your arm. I emptied my savings so you could go to Ohio State." "I know. But biology's a funny thing," he continued. "You start wondering what's real." I stepped closer. "What's real is you were there," I said. "He wasn't." He looked back at me. "Have you talked to him?" he asked. "Yes." A flicker of something crossed his face. Not anger, fear. "Are you going to meet him?" I didn't answer right away. "I don't know," I said finally. He nodded slowly. "I can't tell you what to do," he said. "But if you go, it doesn't erase me." That broke me. "I don't want it to," I said. He put a hand on my shoulder, solid, familiar. "I'm still your father," he said, like he was trying to convince both of us. We walked back to the house in silence. Inside, my mom was sitting at the kitchen table again, same spot as yesterday. She looked between us like she was waiting for a verdict. My dad didn't sit down. "I'm not leaving," he said. "Not today, not this week. But we're not pretending this didn't happen." She nodded, tears already forming. "You lied to me," he continued, "for 32 years. I was afraid," she whispered. "I know," he said, "but you don't get to hide behind that anymore." He walked past her and into the living room. I stood there with my mom. "You could lose him," she said to me softly. "I almost did," I replied. That afternoon, I drove back to Columbus. The house felt suffocating. Every wall held a memory that now felt slightly off-center, like a crooked picture frame. Halfway home, I pulled into a rest stop and just sat there with the engine running. I opened Daniel's profile again. There was a photo now. He must have updated it. He looked familiar. Same thick eyebrows, same jawline. Even the way he smiled slightly to one side felt like looking into a worked mirror. It knocked the air out of me. I hit the call button before I could talk myself out of it. He answered on the second ring. "Hey," he said. His voice was deeper than I expected. We were both quiet for a second. "You look like me," he said softly. I let out a shaky breath. "Yeah." "I never wanted to hurt you," he said. "I know," I replied. And for the first time, I actually meant it. We talked for almost an hour in that parking lot, about basic things at first, jobs, where he grew up. He told me he's divorced too, no other kids. "You're my only one," he said. That sentence hit in a way I wasn't prepared for. "I don't know what I'm supposed to feel," I admitted. "You don't have to feel anything yet," he said. "We've got time." Time. That word felt different coming from him. "I'm not replacing him," he added quickly. "I know who raised you." I appreciated that more than I expected. When we hung up, I felt, not better, but steadier.
The truth hadn't destroyed me. It had just rearranged everything. That night, back in my apartment, I called my dad. He answered after 2 rings. "Hey," he said. "I talked to him," I said. There was a pause. "Okay," he replied. "I needed to." I figured. Another pause. "He's not you," I said. My dad exhaled slowly. "Good," he muttered. We both laughed, and it was awkward and sad and familiar all at once. "I'm still your kid," I said quietly. "You always will be," he replied. No hesitation this time. That mattered.
I don't know what happens next. Maybe I'll fly to Arizona. Maybe I won't. Maybe my parents' marriage survives this. Maybe it doesn't. All I know is a stupid DNA test at Thanksgiving cracked open a secret my mom carried for 30 years. And now I have 2 men tied to me in completely different ways. One gave me life, the other gave me a childhood. And I'm still figuring out what that means. But I know this much. Blood can tell you where you came from. It doesn't automatically decide who your father is. And that's something no test can measure.